Hello all of you. Now let's see section 51 today and 52. Tax deduction and collection. Two concepts we are going to study in this lecture and very important concepts. So like we have seen TDS and TCS in income tax, do you remember? So these also work on similar lines. Let me tell you the background of it so that when we'll study you will understand the concept easily. What happens is that here is the supplier and he supplies the goods and service to the recipient. Now normally what happens is that when the supplier supplies it to the recipient, he will make an invoice. Now say the invoice is of rupees 10,000 on which he will also apply the GST of say 1800, which will be either IGST or whatever. Let's make it simple, GST of 1800. So he'll give an invoice of 11,800 right to the recipient. Now under normal circumstance the recipient will pay this amount to the supplier and then the supplier will deposit this amount of 1800 to the government. Now that is to say, but actually even if the recipient doesn't pay to the supplier in cash, even if it doesn't clear his bill, still the supplier will have to deposit GST with the government. It is on monthly basis or the quarterly basis as the case may be. So anyways, the supplier is going to pay this 1800 to the government, right? But then there is a doubt. Government doesn't trust the assessees. Okay, so there is a trust deficit syndrome. Trust deficit syndrome called as TDS. This is my concept, huh? Trust deficit syndrome, TDS. So what happens is that the government doesn't trust the supplier that he is going to pay this 1800 rupees. So they ask the recipient that when you make this payment to the supplier, you deduct some amount out of it, at least some amount, and pay it to the government. So what the recipient is going to do, that when he makes this payment to the supplier, he will have to deduct some amount, deduct a percentage, which will be a prescribed percentage. We are going to see all those things. So he'll deduct it, and this deduction which he has, X amount, will be paid to the government. Okay, and then he will give a certificate of this amount to the supplier that I have deducted this amount from your payment, and this amount will then be allowed as credit to the supplier, and this credit is taken in electronic cash ledger. Okay, electronic cash ledger. So the supplier gets the amount as credit in his electronic cash ledger, and then later on when he has to pay this 1800 rupees to the government, he will set off this amount. So suppose if this is say 200 rupees, so out of 1800 that he is liable to pay, he will get a set off of 200 because that is already paid to the government, and then he will pay the balance of 1600 to the government. So this whole cumbersome procedure, it was so simple. Assessee collects the tax and pays it, simple. But they have made a cumbersome procedure, a complex procedure, just because of trust deficiency syndrome. So understood how it operates? It's very simple. So let's see now the detail of this whole procedure. So that is section 51, tax deducted at source, and this is made effective from 1st of October 2018. Though it had come originally, it was, the section was there right from the day the GST was launched in July 2017, but it was not notified earlier. The concept was there but not notified. It is notified now. with effect from 1st of October 2018. So it is applicable now. The introduction says that the concept of TDS was there in the erstwhile VAT laws also, and GST law also mandates the TDS via section 51 of the CGST SGST Act of 2017 and section 20 of IGST Act of 2017 and section 21 of the UTGST Act also. And GST Council in its 28th meeting held on 21/7/18 recommended the introduction of TDS with effect from 1st of October 2018. Then second point says that the following would be the deductors. Now see, this is a very long process and question will not come on the whole section as it is. It may come on any one of the points. So one of the points will be this. One of the question can come here. Who are liable to deduct tax at source under GST? Okay. So you'd have to remember this whole list. So it says following would be the deductors of tax in GST under section 51. Read with notification number 33 of 2017. Number 1, a department or establishment of the central government or the state government. So it can be defense ministry, it can be finance ministry, it can be any kind of department. Department or establishment of the central government or the state government. Okay. So this is the government's establishments. Then local authority like Nagpur Municipal Corporation, Mumbai Municipal Corporation. Then governmental agencies, all the governmental agencies, and notified persons or category of persons. So who are notified persons? They are given there. Notified persons are an authority or a board or any other body. Now you have to remember these words, okay? Authority, board or body set up by the Act of Parliament or state legislature, like Airport Authority of India. Board will mean like CBDT itself or CBIC nowadays, Central Board of Indirect Taxes and Customs. Or body can be any kind of body, okay, which is established under the Parliament or State Legislature Act, which has been incorporated, set up by the Act of Parliament or State Legislature, or established by any government as an entity, you can say as a company, established by the government with 51% or more participation by way of equity or control to carry out any function. 51% holding should be of the government. Okay. Secondly, a society. Society means societies which are registered under the Societies Registration Act of 1860. But established by whom? Established by central government or state government or local authority. These are for charitable purposes. So if the central government or the state government or the local authority has established any such society, then they will also have to deduct tax at source. And lastly, any public sector undertaking, PSUs in short, what we call as PSUs. So what you have to do is remember this list. Okay. Don't try to go into the deep. Just remember the list as it is. Question will come directly, theory question. Who are liable to deduct tax at source? Then when tax deduction is required to be made? All these questions can come. Any one of the questions will come. Okay, 2-mark question. Who are liable to deduct or when tax deduction is required to be made? So it says tax is required to be deducted when from the payment made or credited to the supplier. Now see, made or credited to the supplier means in the example that I had given, suppose the invoice is given by supplier to the recipient on 27th of June. So if the payment is made on the same day, then at the time of payment the tax has to be deducted at source. Or if first an entry is made and credited to the supplier, expense account debit to supplier's account, entry is passed, that is called as credited to supplier, and then payment will be made after 10-15 days. So in that case, when will the TDS be deducted? At the time of credit itself. So it is payment made, means actual payment, or credit to the supplier, whichever is earlier, obviously, whichever is earlier. If the total value of supply, now this is the important point, okay, understand it. If the total value of supply under, there is a small alphabet A, very important alphabet, underline it from all the sides, under a contract. So A means one contract, A means one. In respect of supply of taxable goods or services or both exceeds 2,50,000. Very important point. Lot of important points are there. First is total value of supply. Total value of supply of taxable goods and services. So if there is any exempt component, we will exclude that. We will only take the taxable component, okay, of goods or services or both. So all are covered, either only goods, only service, or both taken together. But only the taxable portion will be seen, and that taxable portion should exceed 2,50,000 under one contract, single contract. Okay. So say for example, I am Farooq Haq, I am a supplier, and I am supplying some kind of goods to some undertaking of the government of India. Okay. But in this year, I have entered into 6 different contracts. 6 different contracts. Okay. Contract 1, contract 2, contract 3. There are 6 different separate contracts for supply of taxable goods or service. The value of each contract is 2 lakhs. Value of each contract is 2 lakhs. But into 6 becomes 12 lakhs. So government is going to pay me 12 lakhs in this year. Are they going to deduct tax at source? No. The answer is no, because the value of each contract is less than 2,50,000. So there will be no deduction. Understood? There will be no deduction of tax at source. But if few contracts exceed 250 and few contracts are of less than 250, suppose out of 6, 4 contracts are above 2,50,000 and 2 contracts are below 2,50,000, then what will happen? Tax will be deducted at source only in those 4 contracts and not for the other 2 contracts. Okay, second point also clear. Third point, if there is, now let's boil down to one contract. So there is one contract and it's a long term contract. So the contract value is 7 lakhs. Okay, one contract for 7 lakhs. But there are different payments to be made. So firstly, they are going to make me an advance payment of 1 lakh. And then there is going to be a recurring payments, means the contract is also going on and the payments will also keep taking place. So there will be recurring payments of 1 lakh, sometimes 2 lakhs, etc., etc., aggregating 7 lakhs in all. So individual payments are less than 250. Will tax be deducted at source? Yes, because you have to see total value of supply under one contract. We have to see this total value. If this total value exceeds 2,50,000, then tax has to be deducted at source. Tax is to be deducted at source at the time of making the payment or crediting it to supplier's account, whichever is earlier. So if recurring payments are made, then TDS has to be deducted from each payment separately. Okay. So clear? And another point is given here, that this value shall exclude GST. So 250 is excluding the GST. Central, state, Union Territory or IGST, excluding GST. But if there are some other taxes, they are to be included. If there are some taxes leviable under other laws, then that will be included in 250, but GST has to be excluded, right? Simple. So this is again very important point. Question, practical question can come on that. Then other conditions. Lot of conditions are there. Again question may come on these conditions. Conditions and conditions for an amount of deduction. Tax deduction is required if all the following conditions are satisfied. All. Okay. Number one we just saw. Value of taxable supply exceeds 2,50,000, यानी कि 2.5 lakhs under a single contract. This value shall exclude the GST itself and compensation cess, if any. Second point, if the contract is made for both taxable and exempted supply, deduction will be made if the total value of taxable supply exceeds 2.5 lakhs. This also I explained just now. So you have to exclude the exempt portion. So if the total contract is of say 10 lakhs, but out of 10 lakhs taxable supply is only 2 lakhs and balance 8 is exempt supply, then no TDS. So we have to see only the taxable supply portion. Then where the location of the supplier and the place of supply. Now these are a few very important points, okay? Understand them. Location of supplier and place of supply are in the same state or union territory, then it is intrastate supply, right? It would be intrastate supply. What is intra and interstate? Intrastate means where the location of supplier and place of supply are in the same state. So place of supply rules we had seen, sections, okay, and location of supplier also definition we have seen. So if the location of supplier and the place of supply, POS, are in the same state, I am the supplier, not recipient. Supplier, not recipient. Recipient may be anywhere. This is supplier. So if location of supplier and place of supply are in the same state, then that is intrastate supply. Okay. TDS will be 1% each under CGST and SGST or UTGST, as the case may be, is to be deducted if the deductor is registered in that state or UT with legislature. UT without legislature means the UTGST Act applies. So forget those words. Union, when we call union territory, it means without legislature only, because if there is legislature then it comes under CGST. Okay, SGST. So forget those words. Now see, three things are there: location of supplier, place of supply, same state. So it is intra. So supplier is in Maharashtra, place of supply is also in Maharashtra. So that is intrastate sale of Maharashtra. Now if the deductor means recipient, deductor here means the recipient, so I'll write R, is registered in that state. So the recipient is also in Maharashtra. Then he will deduct. What will he deduct? 1% CGST, 1% SGST, and pay it. Pay it to whom? Maharashtra government. CGST will go to central government. SGST or UTGST will go to that particular state. Okay. So this concept is clear. C point is clear. Good. Second, where the location of supplier is in state A and the place of supply is in state or union territory without legislature B. So place of supply is in a different state. So this is state A and this is state B. Okay, supplier is in state A location, but place of supply is in state B. So let's take an example that supplier is in Maharashtra, he is in Mumbai, but the place of supply is Delhi. So this is Mumbai, this is Delhi, means Maharashtra, to Delhi. So this becomes interstate. It becomes interstate supply, right? Then 2% IGST will be deducted. So 1 and 1 becomes 2, obviously. If the deductor is registered in the state or union territory B, that is this, where the place of supply is there. So place of supply is in Delhi, and the deductor means the recipient is also in Delhi. He is also in Delhi. So he will deduct this 2% and pay it to Delhi, okay, because this is IGST, he will pay it in Delhi. Then what the central government will do, it will keep 1% and 1% it will hand over to Delhi government out of this IGST. That we have already discussed earlier. So out of IGST, 1% is retained, half is retained by the central government, half is given to the state where the place of supply is located. Okay. So this also clear? Look again. Supplier is in Maharashtra, but place of supply is in Delhi, and deductor means recipient is also registered in Delhi. So he is a registered person. So he can pay tax there. Concept of registered person means that he can pay tax, because after deduction you have to pay it also, na? So for payment you have to have a registration. So he is also registered in the same state where the place of supply is situated. This is important. The deductor should be registered in the same state or UT where the place of supply takes place. Okay. Then he can deduct 2% IGST because it is interstate, and then pay. Pay to whom? The central government. Central government will keep half, the balance half they will give to the state of place of supply. Means in this example, Delhi government. Okay, clear? Very good. Then E, where the location of supplier is in state A. State A means again, say for example Maharashtra, and the place of supply is in state or union territory B, means say Delhi. It is again interstate supply. TDS at the rate of 2% under IGST, because it is interstate, so IGST will apply 2%, is to be deducted if the deductor is registered in state A. So now it's the reverse case. The recipient, deductor means the recipient, is registered here in state A, that is where the location of supplier is there. So difference in D and E is that here the deductor was registered in the state where the place of supply was there. This is a case where he is registered where the location of supplier is there. So in both these cases, tax will be deducted under IGST at the rate of 2% because it is interstate. So he will have to deduct tax at source. Okay, means there are three scenarios. Let's take an example. There are three scenarios here. First is that location of supplier, place of supply. Now if both are in the same state, say Maharashtra, and the recipient is also in Maharashtra, he is also registered in Maharashtra. So since this is an intrastate and he is also in Maharashtra, so he will deduct tax at source. The TDS would be, this is intrastate supply, so TDS will be CGST 1% and SGST 1% or UTGST 1%. Either SGST or UTGST 1%. Simple. All these three things take place in the same state. Second is that if the states differ, so let's make this as Tamil Nadu. So location of supplier is in Maharashtra and place of supply is in Tamil Nadu. So this becomes an interstate sale. Okay. Now in this case, recipient may be in Maharashtra or he may be in Tamil Nadu. In both situations, he will have to deduct TDS, but the TDS will be IGST 2%. Okay, so the recipient can be either in Maharashtra or he can be in Tamil Nadu. In both situations, he will have to deduct tax at source at 2% IGST. 3 situations. Now let's take fourth one. What if he is neither registered in Maharashtra nor in Tamil Nadu but in some other state? So say for example the recipient is registered in AP, Andhra Pradesh. Then what will happen? Then will he be liable to deduct tax at source? No. In this case there will be no TDS. Because he is not situated in any of these two places. So in that case there will be no TDS. Even though it is interstate, but no TDS. Similarly, if this is also say Maharashtra, so it will be intra, it will be intrastate sale. But the sale is in Maharashtra, supply is in Maharashtra, intrastate, and the recipient is from another state. He is registered in Andhra Pradesh. Then also there will be no tax deducted at source. Okay, so you have to remember these scenarios. A question can come on this, and we'll see an example is given in the book also. So come back. Then there is another point, that when advance is paid to a supplier on or after 11018 for supply of taxable goods or service, TDS has to be deducted at source. Okay, so if advance is paid, maybe the contract is going to be entered later on. Advance is paid, but advance is paid on or after 11018, then tax will be deducted at source from advance also. Then next point is that when tax deduction is not required to be made. Reverse question, when TDS is not required. So a lot of points. One, total value of taxable supply is less than or equal to 2.5 lakh under one contract. If the value is less than 2.5 lakhs, obviously there will be no TDS. Second, contract value is more than 2.5 lakhs for both taxable and exempt supply, means together it is more. But in that the value of taxable supply is less than or equal to 2.5 lakhs. So again no TDS. Thirdly, receipt of services which are exempted. Receipt of services which are exempted. For example, services exempted under notification 12/17. We had seen the long list amended from time to time. Then goods which are exempt, obviously. So for exempted goods, exempted services, there will be no TDS. Then goods on which GST is not leviable. All the negative list goods, like given here petrol, diesel and alcohol for human consumption. Or where the supplier had issued an invoice for any sale of goods in respect of which tax was required to be deducted at source under the VAT laws before 1/7/17, but where payment is made on or after 1/7/17. So these are transitional provisions. If the invoice was already made before 1/7/17 when the GST was imposed, then no TDS. Or where the location of the supplier and, see, this is the point that we had just discussed, location of supplier and place of supply is in a state or UT which is different from the state or UT where the deductor is registered. So then no TDS. Then all activities of transactions specified in Schedule 3, the negative list. If the transaction is in the negative list, then no TDS. Or where the payment relates to a tax invoice that has been issued before 1/10/18, the date of levy of TDS. Or where an amount was paid in advance prior to 1/10/18 and the tax invoice has been issued on or after 1/10/18 to the extent of advance payment. So if advance was made before 1/10/18 without TDS and then part of the payment was made afterwards, So TDS will apply only on the part which is paid after 11018. Advance will remain exempt from TDS. Then where the tax is to be paid on reverse charge by the recipient, that is deductee. Interesting. If the tax is to be paid on reverse charge, then there is no question of TDS. Why? Well, because the tax is anyways to be paid by the recipient only, na. I think this should be deductor, not deductee. Reverse charge by the recipient is the deductor. Make it deductor. So if the tax is to be paid by recipient, then he pays the whole tax to the government. He doesn't deduct tax. He has to pay the whole thing to the government directly. Then where the payment is made to an unregistered supplier. Again, because in case of unregistered supplier also, the reverse charge mechanism applies. So there will be no TDS. Though it is suspended right now, all of you know, but still there will be no TDS. And where the payment relates to cess component, so there is no TDS on cess, the GST compensation cess. Then there are few illustrations given. Two type of illustrations are given. One is whether TDS will apply or not. Depending upon the person, and the next table will be depending upon the place. So let's see. The first question is simple one. Finance department. Finance department is covered by deductors. Yes. It can be of central government, state government, and payment is of 3 lakh to a supplier of printing and stationery. So you have to see three things. One is, what is the contract? Is it a taxable contract? Printing and stationery? Yes, it is a taxable supply. Second point, who is making the payment? Finance department. Is it covered by the definition of deductor? Yes. And thirdly, the amount. Is it more than 2.5 lakhs? Yes. Under one contract? Yes. Therefore, answer is yes. Second question. Education department covered. Is making payment of rupees 5 lakh covered to a supplier of printed books and printed or illustrated postcards where payment for book is 2 lakhs and 3 lakh is for the other printed or illustrated postcards. Okay. Now in this case, books is exempt. Supply of books is not chargeable to GST. But other printed material like postcards and all are chargeable. And this is the taxable portion, 3 lakhs, exceeding 2.5 lakhs. Therefore, tax will be deducted at source. 2 lakh is exempt. 2 lakh is exempt. 3 lakh is taxable. And 3 lakh is more than 2.5 lakhs. Therefore, TDS will apply. The next one. Finance department is making payment of 1.5 lakh to a supplier of car rental service. Finance department covered. Car rental service taxable. But the amount is 1.5 lakhs only. Therefore, no TDS. So write down no. Then health department covered, government department. Executed a contract with a local supplier to supply medical grade oxygen. Supply of medical grade oxygen. Now, one point you will ask me, sir, we have not studied whether these things are exempt or taxable. Now, this is an example here. But if the question comes in exam, your final exam, then they will mention whether the goods are taxable or exempt. Okay? Because we haven't seen the notification for exemption of goods. We have definitely seen exemption notification for services, all those 84, 85 services, but not for goods. Exemption of goods is not in our course. So if a question comes on goods, then they will mention whether it is taxable or exempt. But if the question is on service, they will not say so. You will have to find out whether they are taxable or exempt because you have seen the notification. Okay. Now here the question is, medical grade oxygen is taxable, no doubt. but the amount is 2.6 lakhs including GST. Health department covered, medical grade oxygen taxable, amount 2.5 lakhs, 2.6 lakhs including GST, but we know that we have to see 2.5 lakhs excluding GST, so you have to make a reverse calculation. So how to make reverse calculation, all of you know. 2.6 into 100 divided by 112, because here if the question comes, they will give you the rate also. The rate is 12%, which is mentioned here. There is a 12% GST. So if you want to find out the amount excluding GST, what you'll do, 2.6 lakhs into 100 upon 112. So if you do 100 upon 112, see 2.6 lakhs into 100 upon 112, that gives you 2.32 lakhs. 2.32 lakhs is less than 2.5 lakhs. Hence the answer is no. The next one, Municipal Corporation of Kolkata covered purchases a heavy generator from a supplier in Delhi. Now it is making payment of 5 lakhs and IGST 18% on 5 lakhs for such purchase. 5 lakhs and IGST of 18%. So that's good. That's okay. But the amount is 5 lakhs. 5 lakhs is excluding the GST. So yes, 5 lakhs is more than 2.5 lakhs. They will have to deduct tax at source. 2% of 5 lakhs. Then Fisheries Department is making a payment of 10 lakh to a contractor for supplying labor for digging a pond for the purpose of fisheries. Digging a pond for the purpose of fisheries comes in agriculture. So this is agriculture related service, exempt. Service is exempt, no TDS. Then municipality is making payment of 5 lakhs to supplier in respect of cleaning of drains where the value of supply of goods is not more than 25% of the value of composite supply. This is also exempt. This is an exempt service. So therefore no TDS. Then government school is making a payment of 3 lakh to a supplier for supply of cooked food in a midday meal. Midday meal service is also exempt. So no TDS. So I think the question is based upon exemptions rather than on TDS. Then health department is making payment of 10 lakh to a supplier for supply of hearing aids. Now this is exempt goods. Hearing aids is an exempt goods. We don't know about it, but it will be given if it comes in the exam. Hence again no TDS. Notification number 2/17. So that is one question. Then the second one is regarding the place, location of supplier, place of supply and state of registration of recipient. Important 3 things. So in the first case it is Kolkata, and recipient is also registered in West Bengal. So this is intrastate, and the recipient is also registered in the same state, that is West Bengal. So therefore he will be liable to deduct tax at source, CGST and SGST components separately. Okay. Secondly, Delhi, Punjab. So he is registered in Punjab. Yes, it is interstate. This is interstate. But he is registered in Punjab, so he will have to deduct IGST at the rate of 2%. But the third one is Delhi and West Bengal. So this is intrastate in Delhi, but the guy is registered, the recipient is registered in West Bengal, which is another state, a different state. So in this case there will be no TDS. No TDS. And of course the situations are given here which you can read. Then there are other points like valuation for supply or value of supply for deducting TDS. So this we just now saw. It includes all the things except the GST itself. So it says, for the purpose of deducting TDS, the value of supply shall exclude the GST, central, state, UT or integrated tax. And thus no tax shall be deducted on central tax and so on and so forth. And no deduction of tax and cess should also be made on the value of exempted goods or services or both, even if the exempt and taxable are billed together. That is simple. Note the example is also simple. Then rate of deduction of tax is given, so that also we have seen. If it's IGST, it will be 2%. If it is intrastate, then you'll have to divide it 1 plus 1. Very simple. Then there are some illustrations also given. So first illustration is supplier is registered and contract value is excluding GST. Supplier X makes taxable supply worth 10,000 to municipality, where contract for supply is for 15 lakhs. So contract is for 15 lakhs, so that is very good, more than 2.5 lakhs. The rate is 18%. For TDS, the rate of GST is immaterial. Supplier and deductor are in the same state. Very good. Following payment is being made by this municipality to X, 10,000 plus 900 central and 900 state. This is the GST. So we'll consider only 10,000. We are not going to deduct on the tax portion. We are going to deduct only on 10,000. So simple, 10,000 into 1% CGST, 10,000 into 1% state. This is the amount of TDS. And payment to be made will be, the bill amount is 10,000 plus 1800. Bill amount is 11,800. We are going to deduct 200 out of it. So we are going to pay 11,600. So simple. Then second is supplier is registered and the contract value is inclusive of GST. If it is inclusive, first you will have to exclude the tax portion and then come to the net amount, and from there you have to deduct. Okay. So that is also simple. Supplier Y of Mumbai makes taxable value worth taxable supply worth 10,000 and exempted supply worth 20,000 in an invoice bill of supply to Finance Department of Government of India located in New Delhi, where the contract for supply is for 6 lakhs, 2,60,000 for taxable. So we'll consider this 260 for taxable means more than 250. So yes, TDS will come. The rate of GST is 18%. But the point is that they have given inclusive, right? This is inclusive of GST. So the value is inclusive of GST. Sorry. So 260 is inclusive of GST. So first you have to exclude GST. 18% rate is given. So what you do? 260 into 100 divided by 118 gives us 2,20,000. Oh ho 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 ho. So 260 is inclusive figure. If I exclude the tax, means 100 upon 118, that gives me 2,20,338, which is less than 250. Therefore, no TDS. Question is, there is no TDS. Okay. Then whether any deduction of tax is required. Okay, so this is the question. So answer is no, because see, this is the net amount excluding GST, 2,20,340. Actually it comes to 339, but okay, 340. Then third illustration is supplier is registered under composition scheme. If the supplier is registered under composition scheme, will there be TDS? Yes. Yes, TDS is to be there. TDS is in all cases. So that is also again, that is simple one. You can read it. Contract value is 255, more than 250. Therefore, tax will be deducted at source. Then there is registration of deductor of tax. Now these are the other provisions which we'll see under different chapters, but they are given in a combined fashion here so that you will remember all the things regarding TDS. So it says the existing deductors of the old laws under VAT Acts will not be automatically migrated to GST. Section 24 clause 6 provides for compulsory liability for registration for all deductors of TDS. So the old ones are not automatically migrated, they will have to take fresh registration here, and all people who are liable for TDS have to get compulsorily registered. Section 24, because there is a compulsory registration, and the deductor in GST will be required to get registered and obtain a GSTIN as a TDS deductor, even if he is separately registered as a supplier. So you may be registered as a supplier, but you have to obtain a separate number as a TDS deductor. And a deductor has to get himself registered through the portal, of course, by using his PAN or TAN number. Entire process is online. Then payment. By nature, the method of depositing TDS is very much similar to the method of VAT. In GST, there will be a single portal for registration, payment and filing of returns. This is all general information. Challan will be generated and you have to make the payment. Simple. Then you have to file TDS return also in GSTR 7 online. And it is to be filed by 10th of the next month. This we had seen in return chapter. Then deposit of TDS with the government, obviously by the 10th of the succeeding month. Then TDS certificate is given in GSTR 7A to the supplier so that he can take the credit. And it says that the certificate is to be furnished within 5 days of crediting the amount to the government. That is after GSTR 7. And the deductee, that is supplier, shall claim the credit of such deduction in his electronic cash ledger. Very simple. Then late fee, interest and penalties there. So late fee is 100 rupees per day up to 5,000 maximum. And for certificate also, if you fail to give the certificate within the 5 days period, then again 100 rupees per day subject to maximum of 5,000, but this is relaxed, we had seen earlier. And refund of excess or erroneous deduction is also there, provided you have not credited the whole amount to your electronic cash ledger. Suppose if deductee has already taken full credit in his electronic cash ledger, then there will be no refund. Otherwise, refund can be granted of excess TDS. So that was all about TDS. And then next is the TCS. This is also very simple. TCS concept applies in the case of electronic commerce operators. Okay. So let's see what it says. And this is also made effective from 1st of October 2018. TCS refers to the tax which is collected by ECO, electronic commerce operator, when a supplier supplies some goods or service. So this applies to both goods and service through its portal, and the payment for that supply is collected by the ECO. So this applies to FHC also, Farooqa classes. So what happens here is that Farooqa classes not only sells products of Farooqa but also of other faculties. So we have got all the other faculties of India registered on our portal. So what we do, we sell their products also. So whenever there is a sale of their product and I get the money, I will pay a certain portion of it to the government. So I'll collect tax from the people who sell from my portal. So when making payment to them, I'll deduct that amount. So though it is called as TCS, it is deduction only. So the student pays me Farooqa classes, and when Farooqa classes will release the payment to the actual teachers, we will deduct a portion of the money out of it and pay it to the government, calling it as tax collection at source. And then I'll give the certificate to them, to the teachers, and teachers can take the credit of the same. Similarly, when we supply goods through Amazon, Flipkart, to all these things, the TCS provisions will apply. So it says that every electronic commerce operator, that is ECO, not being an agent, of course they are not agents, they are ECOs, has been mandated to collect tax at source from the net value of taxable supplies made through it by other suppliers. So other suppliers in case of FHC are the teachers who have listed their products on my website. Whenever the ECO collects the consideration on behalf of the supplier, so the student makes payment to me, to Faruqa classes, so I am collecting the amount on their behalf. So from that amount I have to pay some amount, means deduct that amount and pay to the government, and the rest I will give to the teachers. So what is that amount that I have to collect? See, it is given 0.5% of the net value of intrastate taxable supplies made by it. So 5% is actually, since we are studying section 52, so 5% is CGST, 0.5% is CGST. Similarly, you have to also collect 0.5% SGST or UTGST. And if it's a case of interstate sale, we'll have to collect 1% IGST. Okay, but that section will be given in IGST law. Simple. And deposit is again to the government treasury within 10 days. Within 10 days of the end of the month, we'll have to deposit the amount to the government. But it says that if it has been collected in the month of July, the amount has to be remitted to the government treasury on or before the 10th of August. Example is given. And filing of monthly and annual statements are there. Like all the other statements, monthly statement will go within 10 days from the end of the month. All simple things. An annual statement by 31st of December. And then rectification is also there. If there is some error, you can rectify it. The rectification can be done before the earlier of the two dates, that is due date of filing the return for the month of September of the next year, or the actual date of filing the annual statement, which is normally to be filed by 31st December, but whatever is the actual date, will take the actual date or September due date, whichever is earlier. And claim of credit by supplier, whatever tax I collect and pay to the government, credit will be given to the suppliers, the teachers of FHC. And matching of details of supplies will take place, obviously. All the normal point, like any other outward and inward matching. So here also there will be a matching between what I have shown and what the teachers will show. So they have to match. And if they don't match, then we'll have to pay the differential tax. Then there is a notice also. An officer not below the rank of deputy commissioner can issue notice to the operator asking him to furnish details relating to volume of the goods or service supplied, stock of goods lying in warehouse, godown, etc. So they can conduct inquiries. This is inquiry section. That what is the volume of supplies that I have made on behalf of all the teachers, and what is the stock lying. So in our case there is no stock, but in case of goods, yes, they can be stock. And the operator is required to furnish the details within 15 days, 15 working days. And in case the operator fails to furnish the information, then he can be penalized up to rupees 25,000. And other key concepts are, there is registration. obviously there is a compulsory registration. The e-commerce operator as well as the supplier who supplies through the eco have to get compulsorily registered. This we had seen under section 24. And the TCS statement we just saw, which is submitted within 10 days, that is submitted in GSTR 8, and the annual statement by 31st December, and rectification can also be done, that also we saw. All simple points, right? And there is a section at the last, section 53, transfer of input tax credit. Very simple point, that on utilization of input tax credit availed under this act for payment of tax dues under Integrated Goods and Service Tax Act, in accordance with the provisions of subsection 5049, utilization of input tax credit. This input tax credit availed under this act means ITC of CT. So if ITC of CT is used to pay tax dues under IGST, means it is set off against IGST. So if the central tax credit is used to pay IGST, then what will happen? As reflected in the valid return furnished under subsection 139, the amount collected as central tax shall stand reduced by an amount equal to such credit so utilized, and the government shall transfer an amount equal to the amount so reduced from the central tax account to the integrated tax account. Means whatever is the central tax collection, central tax account of the government, if suppose the balance is 5,000 and this person has utilized 600 rupees of credit of CT to set off his IGST liability, then what the government will do is, government will transfer that 600 out of this balance to the IGST account. So this is the corresponding provisions. What we do, that is the assessees do, will be reflected in the government records also. So government has to transfer central tax collection to IGST collection. This we had studied in IGST Act also, if you remember, that if IGST is used, ITC of IGST the pen is not working, but I had explained to you before, if ITC of IGST is used to pay CT, then what the government does, it transfers that much amount from IGST account to the central tax account. So this keeps going on. So that's it. That's the chapter of payment of tax. One question, 3 to 4 marks weightage. That's it.